Thank you very much. Actually, we have, this is 1 o'clock, and many of you are, you would like to go for lunch. I would actually, we will have plenty of time in some other sessions as well. To conclude the session, I would like to put this question to all of you for 1 minute each. Given your experience and given the intention and very serious commitment by the government over here, which model do you think is the best for Oman? So in 1 minute, if you could kindly come up with your statement, starting from Qudir.
My view is the best model is going to be the one that builds critical mass the quickest, because that way the consumer is going to benefit in the shortest period of time. Therefore, my view is that the window model is fully acceptable, provided there's a segregation of the cash on the conventional side and on the window side.
Windows model with complete segregation of Islamic funds and conventional funds, with probably a long-term view to bring more Islamic banking into the country. Neil.
My approach is to plan for the future. Windows work, and I think they're the right entree into the market, but I think that everyone wants certainty, bankers and customers. I do think that what Oliver says about intentions is right, is true, but you can't always rely on people to pursue their intentions, and I think you need to be aware of that as a regulator, and lawyers need to be aware of that as well. So I think that you plan for an evolutionary change that will probably get you to a segregated model. But in an overarching competitive, regulatory framework where there's no, it's not an arbitrage issue, but clearly banks have to be treated in the same way, whether they are conventional or Islamic, but with an understanding of what the risk proposition is within each institution, if that makes sense. But I still think that justice has to be seen to be done, Sharia has to be seen to be compliant, and I think you need to be eventually moving towards that separate model.
So basically you can adopt any model with a long-term view that you are going to create a segregated Islamic banking system within the conventional. Kamal.
I would rather suggest to take a slightly different approach, because Oman doesn't have to follow exactly the path Malaysia or Saudi Arabia, or for that matter other countries followed. We have the experiences of all those countries. The products are already developed, used with 10+ years experience with the product behavior, what works, what doesn't work. Regulations have been implemented, the enabling environment have been given, to the extent that we have UK and Japan and many other countries also have amended their law to give equal playing field to the Islamic banking and financial institutions. So that work is already done. It doesn't take long way to go and learn it. Okay. I would rather suggest that instead of taking another 15-year plan, Oman can look at taking another maybe 4 to 5-year plan and saying, in 5 years' time, we will have all banks in Oman as fully Islamic banks. And challenge the banks to come up with the products, the resources, to train the staff, okay, and meet that requirement, rather than take the approach where it's a window model. And I will come to you why I'm suggesting that in a minute. Instead of taking this approach and then after 5 years and 10 years looking at where, let's say, Saudi Arabia is now or Malaysia is now. It's the benefit of a kind of late mover, because you already have the experiences and you can easily migrate them. And the primary reason why I'm suggesting is that the Oman as society and as a community here, they are already ready for it. It's a country with people who already are practicing the same principles, and they would love to have their economic life also practice the same way. So it's not like UK, it's not like other countries where you are enabling a certain segment of the community, and that's why you can take a gradual approach. Here people already want it. Okay? Neighboring countries already have the experience. So I would rather say, make a 5-year plan, challenge all the banks that in 5 years' time, you all have to be fully Sharia compliant. And I believe with so much knowledge and experience available, they will all meet it, and Oman will become rather a leader in the GCC rather than being a follower in the GCC, which is it is now in this industry.
Very interesting. Okay.
That was interesting.
So already okay, there is acceptance. Salimullah.
Yeah, I would be agreeing with what Kamal was suggesting. But at the same time, I would emphasize that we should not be forgetting the need for product differentiation. It should not be the case that yes, 5 years from now, the all industry would be Islamic, but we would be having total Islamic replicas of all the conventional products. In my personal and honest opinion, probably there is no benefit of pursuing that sort of a strategy. That in terms of telling the people, yes, we are Islamic, everything is Islamic, but the real substance is something which is total replicas. So yes, let's plan for it that the people are demanding the Islamic banking services. Let's appreciate the real business sense. It's not just the processes which have been tailored to suit the Sharia principles, but the overall real business sense, the business value, the value in the products in itself. So they should be able to convince, be it the Muslim population or the non-Muslim population, we should be able to market the products based on their real strength, not based on the faith and all these things. So that should be the overall approach. Yes, it may take instead of 5 years to 10 years, but let's have a system which we could really pride of.
All right, basically product differentiation is very important, whatever model we adopt. Mudassir Salim.
I think at this stage today, I would, if I were a regulator, I will allow both Islamic, fully fledged Islamic as well as in Windows. And of course, I agree with Brother Kamal and everyone else who said that immediately, as soon as possible, we move towards a total Islamic system. But my advice is really given now to Windows as well as particularly the full-fledged or 100% Islamic bank. That please focus on maqasid al-sharia fi al-tahleel wa al-tahrim. Do not make things haram just because this form is haram and that without changing the substance. Focus on maqasid al-sharia in developing products. Harmonize between substance and the form. Substance of the contract should not be different, the form, and the form should not be substance. So don't try to please both sides, in other words. And then guard on the credibility of the products, of the operations. Because the sole justification for the existence of Islamic finance is credibility, is transparency, is quality and value proposition. And the term of the contract should reflect fairness. I know sometimes, and this you will find even the standards which are approved, that sometimes fairness is missed. For example, to insist that there will be no early payment discount in a murabaha contract, this is not fair. 20 high courts in Malaysia have found that not to be consistent with the principles of the Sharia of the fairness and justness, to charge for the 20 years markup the same as if someone dies after 2 years. And then avoid fictitious contracts. To say that at the end of the lease, this is hiba, and the bank is giving $2 billion of gifts every year, and just happen to be those who have signed lease-to-own contracts. This is fictitious contracts, and they create a problem in the mind of the people in terms of the credibility. And then avoid complexities and high structuring, because now people are getting educated. People, in the beginning, they thought that that was the Islamic solution. Now they can see through some of these very structured transactions which do not really change the reality. This is what my advice would be for anyone who is entering into the Islamic finance business here.
Thank you very much. Oliver, last words.
I was just thinking about if you have a house where 10 thieves live, and pardon this analogy, it's meant to be dramatic to make a point. And if one of the thieves says, I'm going to stop being a thief, and I'm going to go and do good deeds, would you say to him, you can't do good deeds until you get out of this house? No. We like to encourage good action amongst all people. This has Quranic references in it. So my point simply is that if a conventional bank opens up a window, provided you have genuine segregation, as Neil mentioned, provided you have a very complete regulatory structure that ensures that that is truly acting in conformity with Sharia, in my opinion, that is a good step. I don't think we want to end there, because I think it has to be an incremental approach. And I do agree that conventional windows need to evolve into fully fledged Islamic systems. But that needs to be made, a decision on that needs to be made by the authorities on an as and when basis. I don't think you can set a time for it today, but you can create an infrastructure. So in short, in my opinion, you have existing dual system, you allow conventional windows, but you make sure that there are regulations in place that nobody can point to that window and say anything that it's doing is haram.
Thank you very much. This is excellent. We had a very detailed discussion into 2-3 matters. It wasn't a kind of very comprehensive, but whatever we considered, we went into some detail and depth. And you will agree with me that this first panel session was very good, and we should be thankful to the panelists who shared their valuable thoughts on the topic with us. Before we go for the lunch, and of course we are going to applaud the panelists, I'd like to request Brother Khalid Al-Yahmadi to announce something he wants to.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. نود هنا دعوة المكرم الدكتور عادل الكندي عضو مجلس الدولة وعضو اللجنة التأسيسية في بنك نزوة لتقديم بعض الهدايا التذكارية للمتحدثين تعبيرا عن شكرنا لهم إذا تكرمت.
Starting with Qadir Latif. Neil Miller. Okay, you stand there. And we have Kamal Mia. Thank you. Mr. Salimullah Khan. Thank you for the perspective. Yeah, that's really good. Right. Sheikh Mudassir Siddiqui. And we have Oliver Aga.
Sheikh Abdul Aziz.
Okay. Thank you.
الشيخ الدكتور عبد العزيز الهنائي أيضا.
Come over here. That's right. That's for you. That side. That side. That side. That side. Okay. Okay. Thank you very much.